Sup guys, Beyond here with another DPS tier list video actually. It's gonna be about Mythic Plus this time. I made a raid one recently, you can go check that out here if you want. And I actually realized that I got some views on that video, which made me really happy actually. So guys, if you're watching this and you want to see more 9.1 content, I'm gonna be pumping it out. So just subscribe down below, hit that button, and also, if you have any takes on this video, I'm gonna respond to every single comment on this video, so just flame me, write your takes on my tier list, what do you think your guys' predictions are gonna be, just hit me up in the comments and we can have a discussion. So I also realized that most of you meta fiends out there, you just fucking skip ahead in these videos anyway to the end, so I will be putting out some quicker tier lists as well for that in the future. It is really stupid to do that because you're missing all the content, or sorry, all the context. And context can be really important, especially in the raid tier list. I feel like the context was pretty important in that one. Maybe not as much here, but if you must, you can skip ahead in this one as well. I will put a timestamp here somewhere. You can skip to that if you just want to see the fucking tier list part of it. There's going to be a pretty long intro in this video as well. So now, while I do actually have some experience raiding Mythic, obviously I did get cutting edge this year, but my Mythic Plus score is not very good, let's say that. So I haven't ever pushed high keys either, and I just have no real experience, and that means I have no way of giving insight into the meta at the top end without either I just have to listen to someone else and preach their opinions, or I'm gonna have to just do some fucking immense research and just hope that it's true basically, and I don't really like either of those options. So I figured, why not make the most obvious adaptation ever? I'm just gonna make this tier list at a plus 15 key level. Because that's where most of the player base is at anyway. That's where I have my experience basically. I mean, I have obviously pushed higher keys than 15, but still, I'm usually around the weekly 15 is where I do most of my Mythic Plus, because it's just too boring to push high keys all the time, and I'm mostly about Mythic grading. So it sounds pretty crazy, I know, to make a tier list about a fucking plus 15 level, but I think you're gonna end up enjoying it, and I think it's gonna end up being better. So another disclaimer here, boys, there's gonna be even a longer intro here, because I do need to get into some more theoretical stuff here that I've been thinking about, and something that I've actually been wanting to hit on for a long time. So I am gonna be able to hit 2 moonkins in one stone with this fucking plus 15 thing, and I figured I'd just address something that I've been thinking about for a while. You know, we all know that the meta at the top end, it trickles down into the lower community, right? That's always been true, and it's true in both Raid and Mythic Plus. But the problem is, you know, in Raid, when the meta trickles down, it's not as big of a deal, because the Raid meta, or the raids, are pretty similar at the top end to the lower end. It's just that people clear them later with higher item level. The fights are still the same, right? While it's in Mythic Plus, the way you play a key at the 25 level is nowhere near the same way as you play a key at the 15 level, right? Like in Raid, Mythic Sire is played pretty much the same for a top like 1000 guild as for the top were like 100 guilds. It's just that they kill it with much higher item level, right? So I feel like in Mythic Plus the same thing doesn't really work, and it just leads to a lot of misinformation in the lower end about what actually is good and what's not good, and why it's good and why it's bad, you know. And it just really tilts me, because there's nothing worse than pugging, and you know, you just run into all these misconceptions and all these fucking, you know, things that's just not true, and people won't listen to you. So I figured I'd just do my best and try to fucking dispel some of that by actually ranking it at a 15 level, so we can see, you know, that some of these specs that you might think are bad in Mythic Plus are actually not that bad if you just like play them at an appropriate level, right? So a lot of other content creators, they address this by just saying, like, if you're not at the top end, it doesn't really matter what you play, you can play what you want, play what's fun, and it's true, but it rarely works, because like people nowadays, they just want to play the best stuff, right? They just want to play what is the absolute most damage I can do, what is the best spec for this, and it doesn't matter if I'm playing at a lower end than the top end. It just means like I still want to do the same damage, right? So the problem with this in Mythic Plus is that it's just not true. Like, if people think that fire mage and boomkin are just the best specs in the game because they're played in the MDI and at these like high key push levels. And it just isn't true at a 15 level. That's just gonna lead to like a ton of people re-rolling to fire mage and boomkin, and then they're gonna end up doing these 15s, but they're not gonna end up doing the same damage that they hope they're doing, so they're gonna be disappointed. The people who invite them because they think their meta classes are gonna be disappointed, and then all of the other people who just play their fun specs aren't gonna get invited because it's not the meta, and they're also gonna be disappointed. So it's just like a vicious cycle. No one wants this really, I don't think, and the only problem with it is just that the 15 pug level people just have a very delusional way of looking at the meta, basically. So yeah, when you're pug tank, you know, he pulls one pack at a time throughout the entire dungeon, which is no flame to him. I mean, it's the best strat for pugging 15 most of the time. You know, it's gonna get you through a dungeon no matter who fucks up, no matter how bad your DPSs are. You're probably gonna get it through if you just play it safe. So in that case, then, you know, specs that perform in that environment are gonna be a ton, like just way better than specs who are designed around this like mythic plus MDI pulling and the top and basically the high key pushing, right? And yeah, the best example of this, or a good example of this I can think of at least, is just like 9.0 Fire Mage and Boomkin, because both were incredibly broken in Mythic Plus. I'm not arguing that. Like, they were insane in Mythic Plus, no matter at which key level, you know, they had some good stuff. But the problem is, they're not much better than all the other specs at like a plus 12, a plus 15, a plus 14 level, especially not when you do it in appropriate gear, right? If you're like 215, 220 item level and you do this 15s, you don't need those like overtuned specs to do it. And it's not only that you don't need those overtuned specs, it's also more that they are actually going to perform worse than most of the other specs, because they just have worse profiles for that. And we can take a look at some concrete examples. You know, why was Fire Mage actually broken at high key levels, you know, in the MDI and stuff? Well, it had, first of all, it had uncapped AoE, which was really busted. It was pretty much the only uncapped AoE doing that much damage, and it's also on a short CD, which is incredibly important when you're doing these like massive pulls, right? You're grouping everything, you're just bursting it down, and then you're chilling, and then you're doing it again after 1 minute. You know, that in that scenario, combustion is mega broken, obviously. But in your typical plus 15 pug, where the tank is pulling one pack, kills it in like 20 seconds, then pulls another pack, kills that in 20 seconds, well, guess what? Combustion is going to be pretty fucking useless, right? Compared to some other stuff. So then Mage also has Lust, obviously, which is really strong. I can't doubt, like, that is just undeniable. But, you know, you could get Lust from other places as well. Mage is tanky as fuck, which is also good, and do have some mob control while kiting, but it's not the biggest thing in your normal 15, right? Tanks aren't gonna kite that much, except when it's necrotic, maybe. So, or maybe sanguine, I guess. I mean, and Boomkin was broken because they have uncapped AoE, but it's more like spread out with Starfall and shit. They also have some decent burst AoE, obviously, with Starfire windows, and they have Celestial Alignment, and obviously Convoke the Spirits is a good single target burst. But the biggest reason why you brought Boomkin was they have trees, right? They have this incredible thing that you drop down on a 1 minute CD. It taunts enemies. It's really good when saving a tank. It's just invaluable in high keys, right? And they also had really good AoE in high keys when mobs live long, and they also have good single target. So that's why Boomkin was broken. It's not because they do more damage than any other spec here. Like, most of these specs are going to do way more damage than a Boomkin in a 15. It's just that at a higher key level, well, you need the trees, you need the Sooth, you need the damage, right? So it's just like in innovates and stuff, you know? It's just a lot of stuff that doesn't quite add up at a 15 level, and the normal player base, the average WoW player doesn't understand that, and they just see like, oh, big Convoke, oh, 10k Starfall AoE, and they think that it's good, but it's not. It's just like a Boomkin in a 15 is gonna be outperformed by like probably 70% of these specs most of the time, right? So it's pretty insane that it's this lopsided that people think that Fire Mage and Boomkin has to be brought to every dungeon, you know. So, well, yeah, basically my point here is just that boomkin and fire mage were S plus tier, like at the top end, obviously, but at the 15 level, I feel like they were more in the terms of like maybe A to B tier. You know, fire mage probably still in the A tier, I would say, but you know, there are other specs here which I think were better in 9.0 from a pure Myth Plus perspective, such as maybe Windwalker was really fucking strong, right? I'd rather have a Windwalker in my group than a Fire Mage or a Boomkin at a 15 level. The same goes for some other of these melee specs, you know, like Outlaw, for example, is pretty strong. I would say, like, there are just other options, and most of the other, like, just pump AoE specs, like Enhancement, like Fury, like Havoc, like LA, like Ret, you know, these things are gonna out DPS the Fire Mage and the Boomkin in a 15. And it's just so tilting to see when none of these specs get brought, right, to your normal puckies. Well, whatever. Let's finally get into the actual tier list. And a final reminder also, this is at a plus 15 level with appropriate gear, about like 240, 245 eye level, you know, when we're actually a bit into a patch. Obviously, if you're pushing 15s at the very start of the patch, well, then you're going to struggle a bit more, and you might need these like broken stuff like trees and stuff, you know, to actually survive it. But nonetheless, let's get straight into it. So, as usual, I'm going to provide a bit more context, maybe than your normal tier list. I do want to get some stuff in here. We have the 9.1 changes, and then we have some criteria for the different specs to actually evaluate them and how good they are in a Mythic Plus setting. I'm not going to go through this. I'm just going to like refer to them as we go through with the specs, right? So, affliction. Most people are going to rate this pretty low in the raid tier list. I did rate it at the pretty much bottom tier here, and I still think it's going to be pretty bad, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as people think it is, because it's still like they swapped the F profile a bit from 9.0 to 9.1, right? They're worse single target, but they are actually pretty damn good AoE if you pick the right setup. So on fortified weeks, I feel like F is actually going to be pretty strong. But the problem is it's not going to be as strong as the other Warlock specs, I don't think. I think both Destro and Demo is actually going to be pretty good. I might do this actually here. I feel like it's a little bit more representative of how it's actually going to play out. Demo has gotten a massive buff to single target with the... or they haven't gotten a massive buff to single target, but their AoE build has gotten a massive buff to single target, which means that they can actually afford to run the AoE build without losing out on single target, which is a huge deal on like tyrannical keys or even just fortified keys where you need boss damage, you know, where you need to kill maybe some priority mobs sometimes and stuff. Suddenly Demo has both good AoE and really good single target. Their single target is top tier. So I feel like Demo is going to be the best overall Warlock spec from Myth Plus, and it's actually going to be pretty strong in especially at a plus 15 level, you know. I'm a little hesitant to put it up to S tier at a plus 15 level, but I think it could be at the top of A tier for sure. When it comes to the mages, now this is really interesting because it's pretty hard for me to evaluate how big of a deal Fire Mage's profile is going to be at the top end. Luckily, this is a fucking plus 15 kilo, so I don't have to do that. I can just fucking say that Fire Mage is garbage, you know, with Pride gone as well. Since Pride is gone, one of Fire Mage's strengths in 9.1, right, was that you could combust the Pride, you could have combust up before the Pride buff ran out, or you could just use the Pride as a way to get your combust up quicker, so you could like combust the pack, then get the combust up on the Pride, and then combust the next thing again after the Pride was really strong, right? And the same goes to an extent for Demo with the Wilfred's build, Lego there, but I feel like it's still gonna hold more value compared to Fire Mage. Then we have Arcane Mage. I think Arcane Mage has a decent profile in Mythic Plus. Arcane Explosion is really good. Arcane Barrage Execute is really good. They have some good burst AoE, some good consistent AoE, some good single target, everything. It's just that maybe they don't bring quite the same amount of control as Frost Mage. They're also going to be really strong. They have good priority damage. They have good funnel. They have good AoE. They have really good mob control. You know, stuff like that. And if kiting is going to be less important, then also it might be more of a thing for for these range specs that have AoEs, you know, they can put the AoE in the ground, but the tank, since there's 10% less auto damage and necrotic is nerfed, it might be more possible, and storming is also nerfed, you know, it might be more possible to just run around in those big AoEs and kite the mobs that way, instead of having to like kite out of range players' AoEs, even for like less skilled tanks, you know, and less skilled tanks who don't kite can suddenly stay in those AoEs longer and tank with a 10% less auto damage buff. So I think stuff like Destro Lock, Frost Mage here is going to be pretty good. Warrior, I think Warrior is still pretty good at a 15 level. They have good AoE burst, you know, they have some good profile for Mythic Plus for sure, but they don't really bring anything like amazing in terms of utility. They have maybe a little bit of subpar single targets perhaps. Fury, I mean, Fury might be better than Arms in Mythic Plus, but I feel like it's still kind of in the same spot there. It's not amazing for sure. They lack a little bit of utility there. In terms of the rogue specs, well, assass, it is really good single target, but I still feel like there's no real reason to play it in Mythic Plus over Outlaw, because Outlaw is just more cleave, better profile, they have ranged autos, they have a lot of control, you know, they just bring a lot of stuff that assass don't on the AoE parts of the dungeon. One thing to consider though is that you're gonna have to run a lot of tyrannical keys this season for score. So maybe the single target specs might actually be rising a bit here from where they were last time, and that's also why I have high hopes for Demo, right? Demo is really good single target and has some decent AoE, so might even see Demo going up pretty high here. You know, when it comes to hunters, I guess I should drag out sub there as well, lol. Hunters, I don't know, like, and by the way, when I say lol and put sub in D tier, like, it's obviously still fine to play at a 15 level if you want to. Everything is fine to play at a 15 level. You're gonna get through it. It's no problem, right? I'm just saying, like, if you wanna see what actually performs in a 15, sub is bad, right? And on top of that, if you're actually like one reason why I'm putting sub so low as well is because Rogue has so many other good specs, right? Or Rogue has Outlaw, which is really good, and then it has assass, which is actually also pretty good, right? So there's really no reason to play sub at all. Same goes for like kind of F, right? But F still brings quite a different profile than these two, I'd say. F has some pretty goddamn good, just consistent AoE with like the Seed of Corruption and stuff. So yep, I don't know. I'd for sure say that F is way stronger than sub at the moment. Balance Druid, now, like, if this was a top end tier list, obviously balance would be S tier, but I don't think balance is that strong at a 15 level, because while they have trees and they have some decent damage, they just don't have that like good just 4-5 target AoE cleave profile that you really need if you're gonna pump on every pack, right? Like, I feel like Fury Warrior might even do more damage than the Balance Druid in a key, although Fury Warrior doesn't have the same amount of utility as Balance. Like, there's no way of arguing that, so it's still gonna be a little lower. And Feral is the same as sub kind of, you know. It's not like horrible, but it just has no utility. It doesn't really have good AoE. It has some decent single target, but it has worse single target than the assass rogue and worse utility than the assass rogue, so there's no use in playing it. I mean, I could put it in the D tier. Really though, do I want to piss off those Feral mains? You know, maybe there are some Feral players who just don't really want to swap to moonkin, so I'd probably still end up putting Feral in the C tier. Beast Mastery, pretty bad as well. No real reason to run it. I think Survival is definitely decent, you know. Might be on the same tier as Fury here. It has some really good AoE. Doesn't quite stack up in single target compared to some other of these classes here, but they do have really good consistent AoE, which is pretty damn important in Mythic Plus key at a 15 level. So yep, definitely a strong spec, I would say. Same goes for Enhancement Shaman. I think Enhancement Shaman is in a bit of a similar spot to these guys. They're just gonna like pump on every pack. They do have really good off healing, as well, so there's some more reason to bring them, you know. And they have an AoE stun, which is really important actually. Maybe actually bump up them a little bit higher here. At a 15 level, that is. Now, you wouldn't want to bring an enhancement shaman to a high-end key, probably. In terms of, like, I'm not going to rate the tanks and the healers, because I just don't have experience doing that, so fuck these guys. Frost and Unholy. Like, these are, again, just like... Fuck, B tier is going to be big again, isn't it? Like, god damn it. But I feel like I'm going to have to put Frost and Unholy here, because... They do about the same they have about the same profile as these guys, right? They're cleaving, they have some decent single target, they're gonna pump on pretty much most packs, but I just feel like they don't quite have the same utility as these maybe, and also a bit worse damage. Marksmanship Hunter, they have... I think Marksmanship Hunter is pretty strong, pretty decent. They have a good profile for Myth Plus for sure. But hunter damage this tier is pretty subpar. Their single target is not great, you know, stuff like that. Havoc, I think is going to be an S tier spec. Havoc is racing in raid as well. It's rising in terms of single target. It's going to go do amazing AoE. It's just going to basically pump throughout the entire dungeon. It has an AoE stun, good profile, everything you need basically. And also debuff for magic damage. I think you're gonna end up bringing quite a lot of casters this year probably again, because stuff like Ellie, Shaman, Mage, looks pretty strong. So, and also obviously Boomkin at a higher level, obviously. Spriest does have some really strong single target. I'm not sure if it belongs in the S tier quite, but I think it's for sure up here with these specs here. Would I put it over Demo? Probably. I think it just has such good damage that it's hard to ignore it. And since tyrannical keys are going to be relevant this season as well, I think Shadow Priest is going to end up better than it was last year for sure. They don't even have bad AoE, you know, their AoE is kind of fine. So they're a strong spec for sure. Windwalker, I might be biased here. I still think Windwalker at a 15 level, guys, remember that, it's a fucking 15 level, don't get pissed. At a 15 level, I think Windwalker is going to be S tier still, because similar to Havoc, you know, they just have that amazing profile. They have an AoE stun, they're going to pump on every single pack, they still have the best AoE in the game, no questions asked, you know, they're going to fucking destroy basically every pack. Spinning is broken, their cooldowns are super strong. Night Fae Monk looks good. Like, if you want to swap out Kirin for Night Fae, you're trading the Weapons of Order cooldown, which is really strong in raid, but the problem is with the Weapons of Order that you do fit in very well to that 2-minute profile, then similar to Marksmanship Hunter, kind of where sure your AoE is fine outside of that, but it still does require some more synergy with the group. Maybe you don't pop CDs at the same parts in the dungeon where your teammates do it. While as if you play Night Fae Windwalker, suddenly you have a 30-second CD that you can drop pretty much every single pack that just resets over and over again AoE, and it's gonna be really good, I think. So if you want the best possible pumper for a 15 key next patch, I think your best bet is gonna be a Night Fae Windwalker. I think they're gonna be at like 10 to 15k DPS on every single pack, and with cooldowns maybe like 25 to 30k DPS on the pack. So I think they're gonna absolutely shred the Mythic Plus. Havoc is in a similar spot, but slightly worse in terms of damage maybe. And yeah, the same pretty much goes for Outlaw, except there you're relying less on the damage, more on the control part of the art class, right? What class do we have left? We have Elemental. Elemental, again, I think it's going to be pretty fucking strong in a 15 key. It does have amazing consistent AoE. Stormkeeper is busted, Earthquake is busted. They have Earth LA, they have AoE stun, they're mega tanky, they're pretty much the best caster at a 15 level, I feel like. Because they're just so goddamn versatile, right? They have good single target as well, they're never dying. Yeah, they're basically supplying everything the moonkin does and better at a 15k, which is a way better damage profile than a moonkin. So I think LA is going to be your S tier caster at a 15 level. Ret, like I don't play a lot of Ret. I could be wrong here, but I feel like Ret is looking pretty fucking strong actually. It does have some pretty goddamn good damage, and it's uncapped with the Lego as well in AoE, so you have the potential to just Divine Storm every of those like plus 15 pug 5 4 target pulls. But then if your tank decides to go big, you also have that uncapped Divine Storm capability, you know. So I think Ret is actually gonna end up pretty goddamn good, pretty goddamn strong. Yeah, that was all of the DPS specs actually. That went through pretty fast. I didn't really go through any of this actually, I realize now. But doesn't really matter too much, I guess. You guys know what these specs are doing anyway if you're playing the game, so fuck that shit. And yeah, as I said before, guys, if you did like the video, make sure you liked it. And also subscribe, because I noticed a lot of you guys watching my last video weren't subscribed, so just hit the subscribe button if you want to see more 9.1 content, obviously. Otherwise, don't hit the subscribe button if you don't like me. And yeah, I'll just see you in the next video, boys. Have a good one.